Good morning, kindergarten. You guys are joining me in the drama center today. Can you tell what I'm dressed up as? I'm ready for some construction today. We've been talking a lot about cities. We've been talking about the important places where we live. We've talked about homes and fire stations and hospitals and airports. And our last building project, we asked you guys to use a material at home to build. And some of you guys chose blocks or Lego. Well, today we're going to be building again. So I hope you're ready to be a construction worker like me. We're going to be building an important building from a city. And you get to choose what kind of building you want to make. But this time, we're not going to use Lego or blocks. If you remember, in the newsletter, we asked you guys to start collecting some recyclable materials. Think about cardboard boxes, water bottles, little containers that you might have. These materials are going to be what we use to create something today. Now, I've collected the materials for my building project. I have a cardboard box. It's not too big, it's not too small, but you get to choose how big or small you want to make yours. I've also collected some paper today. You can use whatever paper you have at home. If you have white paper from the printer, or maybe even newspaper, but we want to try to pick a paper that's quite light colored because we want to add details to our building afterwards. I also have a pair of scissors, and I have a glue stick. Before we start building together today, we're going to think about what we want to build. Remember, there are so many important places. If you want to build a hotel, you might want to pick a box that's really tall. Or if you want to build a hospital, you might want to think about how big your box is, because hospitals are pretty big. Maybe you want to build a factory. Well, maybe you need to go online and think about what a factory might look like. Or even an airport. There's lots of details in these buildings. They're not just squares. In small group, we're going to be talking about our plans to build today. But in my video, I'm going to show you how I build and how I start to get ready to create something. Okay, my first step is I'm going to take my box and I'm going to cover it in white paper. My box has all this orange tape, and it's kind of hard if I want to paint this box later or if I want to decorate it, if I have all this orange tape on it. So I'm going to cover my box with white paper. You might have to ask Mom or Dad to help you with this part. Okay, I'm going to pause here and wrap my box. Ta-da! All right, Tuskers, I'm back. As you can see, I've wrapped my box in that white paper. I made sure to wrap every side. I'll let you in on a little secret. While I did use my glue, I ended up having to use a little bit of tape too. It made it a little bit easier to keep my paper onto my box. So if you have tape at home, you might want to try to use this material as well. Now, we have this empty white box. It's ready to become anything. The question is, what do we want it to become? Let me show you some examples. Your white box might become a hotel. You can see that students have painted this box to match the color of the hotels that they see around their home. They've drawn windows and doors. And they even added balconies. We know that if you live in a condo, or if you live in a hotel, or if you've stayed in a hotel, a lot of them have these balconies. A really important part of our buildings today is going to be adding a title. If your building didn't have its name on it, no one would ever be able to find it. It's important that we label our space. I really like the way that this one is labeled. It actually pops out of the box. This student used extra cardboard to be able to make it pop out. Now, it's not enough to just think about the front of our box. We want to think about what a building looks like on all of its sides. You can see we've even added a big window to the top of this building. This is an example of how you might make your box into a hotel. Now this one is a little bit different. This student created a Thai-style house. Now we know that at Basis we have a Thai house on campus, and it's raised up. A lot of Thai-style houses don't sit down on the ground. They're raised up on stilts, just like this one. Again, this student thought about the roof. What does the top of this building look like? We use paint and sticks to add details to all the sides. We drew doors and windows. It's important to think closely about these details so that your building looks awesome in the end. Now, all there is left to think is, what do you guys want to make? How will you make it awesome? And what kinds of materials do you have at home that you can add so that it looks exactly like what that building looks like in real life? In small group today, we're going to make our plans. And you have lots of time for this project. We hope that when we come back to school in person, you guys will be able to bring these buildings to school with you, and we can build a humongous city filled with all of your buildings. All right, kindergarten, I'm excited to see what you guys create. Bye-bye!